Hi, my name is Mandy Rodriguez, and I'm going to be talking about Ocelot corridors. This is the order we're going to be going in. This is a picture of Soho the Ocelot from the Cincinnati Zoo at Gladys Porter Zoo for Ocelot Conservation Day. So ocelots, they are one of the most agile, secretive, and elusive felines alive today that call the Rio Grande Valley home. They exist in pockets at Laguna Tascosa National Wildlife Refuge, where they have been successfully breeding for the last few decades. This refuge is one of the last strongholds for this beautiful cat. Because the habitat in the Rio Grande Valley is so fragmented, moving from within Laguna Tascosa to different habitat within the refuge has become increasingly dangerous for not only ocelots, but also other critters who share the same habitat. Because of the fragmented habitat, they are not easily and successfully able to traverse the landscape of the Rio Grande Valley. This can be assumed to contribute to inbreeding for the ocelots, which could be a problem for future generations. Because of this, it is essential to continue building successful corridors for the valley's endemic fauna. Here's a little video I found that I thought would be cool to show. It's of Soho the Ocelot at Gladys Porter Zoo's Ocelot Conservation Day. And I just wanted to point out, how agile she is. Just watch as she climbs this. It's pretty amazing. Really amazing. So the location is Cameron County, which is in the lower Rio Grande Valley. There are 4 counties that make up the Rio Grande Valley: Willacy, Cameron, Hidalgo, and Starr. Ocelots are mostly confined to the coast and Cameron County. So this is a zoomed in area of Cameron County. As you can see, most of the eastern area of Cameron County is actually wildlife refuges. So over 95% of Tamaulipan thorn scrub, which is the dominant habitat in the lower Rio Grande Valley, has been cleared for agricultural and residential purposes. Not only this, but over 99% of brush in riparian habitat has also been cleared. So some of the questions I want to answer are: is it possible to connect fragmented habitat? What type of habitat do ocelots prefer? Why are they confined to the coast? And where is the best place for a wildlife corridor? Because of increased fragmentation of ocelot habitat, it is essential to determine optimal habitat for ocelots, and it'll help show where corridors will be needed. Like most wildcats, ocelots are solitary, secretive, and generally try to avoid humans or areas with human presence. They love dense vegetation, and their diet consists of smaller mammals as they are carnivorous. To aid ocelots, some criteria that will be used to determine optimal areas are land cover, ruggedness of terrain, distance from road, and lastly, protected areas to connect. This is land cover. The green is good habitat and blue is water, while the yellow area are Fish and Wildlife Service lands like Laguna Tascosa National Wildlife Refuge and the lower Rio Grande Valley Wildlife Refuge. As you can see, there's actually more green in the summertime, which makes sense because during winter we have flora that dies back because of the cold weather. This is a USGS 3-depth digital elevation model with hill shade. I actually had to put the z-score to 20 because it's so flat here. Greener areas are areas where it's flat, while red areas are more hilly. You can see that the river here just cuts through the landscape. So the moral of the story is Cameron County is not very rugged as seen in map 4. This is due to the natural geology of the area. It is actually a delta, it's not a true valley. So this is distance to and from roads, and this is important in determining where a potential corridor may be placed. The distance is in miles, and the blue area is areas that are 1/8 of a mile away, which is about 1.8 football fields. Yellow is 1/4 of a mile with about 3.6 football fields. And lastly, half a mile, which is about 7.3 football fields. So basically, red areas are the best areas to place a corridor. Because of the intense fragmentation of the Rio Grande Valley, it would be best to connect wildlife refuges. These two areas that are highlighted here are actually wildlife refuges in Cameron County. So this is actually a corridor and suitability model. I'm not going to get into it because it's a lot. So suitability surface. Dark red is the most suitable habitat for ocelots. As you can see, there's a huge red area located in Laguna Atascosa, which means this is a great area for ocelots. So my analysis results. Red stars are ocelot occurrences, while yellow are the corridors. So there's one here and there's one here. Here's a zoomed in map. As you can see, this line here is actually the Brownsville Ship Channel, which is interesting in itself because these two areas are actually part of the Lower Rio Grande Valley Wildlife Refuge as well as Laguna Atascosa Wildlife Refuge. Here, it'll be interesting if they can build a corridor. I would suggest it just because there's all this land here, and eventually that may even lead to them crossing internationally to Mexico and looking for their own kind. And there's one here, which is Highway 100. This highway is heavily traveled every day because it leads you straight to South Padre Island. So I don't know if it would be possible to connect these two refuges via this ship channel, but I think it would be in their best interest just because there's so few ocelots and the habitat they do have is very degraded. So I think anything that might help them to survive should be tried, at least. Or looked into, So evaluation. Suggested corridors are kind of small in size, but they are essential. Other corridors connecting the Lower Rio Grande Valley to itself may also prove useful in the future. For example, from eastern Cameron County to the west of Cameron County. So the questions that we answered are, is it possible to connect fragmented habitat? Yes, but it will be difficult due to the fragmentation. What type of habitat do ocelots prefer? Pretty much all native habitat where it occurs. And why are they confined to the coast? It seems that they're confined to the coast because that is where the most ideal continuous habitats are. So, the future of Texas ocelots. Although the future may seem grim, we can conserve them if we build substantial corridors that actually connect each wildlife refuge. Brownsville and the surrounding region have the right to continue to develop and generate capital, but at what cost? Brownsville now has a SpaceX facility called where Elon Musk's company test launches Starship and the Hopper. This is amazing for humans on so many levels, but I leave you with this question. Because habitat is already incredibly fragmented, how will this bode for ocelots and other critters that call the RGV home?